What's going on, guys? Hey, Paul's back for the next part of this World Machine tutorial. In the last video I was building this, and you can see that the thermal weathering actually took a lot longer than the erosion did. So this was almost a 10-minute build. Okay, my computer's not very good. It's only a quad-core 3 gigahertz low machine with DDR2 RAM running at 1300, you know, and it's like really crappy. 8 gigs of dumpy RAM. I have a GeForce 770 or something like that. 770, yeah, 780. I don't know, 770, 780. One of those. Nothing new here. Okay, but now you'll notice that the terrain got finished here, and you can still see my stara, but everything else looks, you know, pretty weathered rather well. Looks pretty neat, you know. So I went from something that looked extremely manufactured, and it came out pretty natural in the end, you know. This could definitely be, you know, this the base of the, I don't know, some kind of boy band mercenary group, right? Boy band slash, you know, assassins, right? That would be it. I just gave away $1 trillion idea. God damn it. Alright, so now that we've got this, and we like it, let's see about getting some of these splat maps out. Again, I just want to say I don't like using them, but I'm going to show you guys how to get them out anyway. There's several ways. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, and there's a couple of important things about it. So I'm going to keep this. Now, the cool thing is that this stuff's been built, and it doesn't need to get built again. I can chain other stuff out after this, and I won't have to do this again. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of outputs. The first one, we're going to do a height output here. Okay? And on the height output, basically what we can do, it's basically the same thing as this right here. But in this case, we're going to pick from a couple of different spots. Now the cool thing is we get a few maps that actually get exported out of the erosion. Like talus depth, talus age. Okay? Like everybody knows what a talus is. You know, this is the thing that the men used to work on, so they would be the Talisman, and then they all work together to make I don't know where I'm going with that, a little gold fucking locket. I don't know. So anyways, we're gonna grab some of these out here and just check them out. So all I gotta do is just click on this and hit F, and you can see that. Let's look at it in a 3D view. You can see that we've got this cool swirly little like channels thing. If we build, are you serious that it's got to build everything again? If it does, I'm ending the video right here and right now. I don't think it has to do, I think it has to do it again. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to cancel. I'm just going to cancel. Cancel. Cancel und Hansel. You will cancel Hansel. It might have crashed. I don't know why it wanted to build again. It might have been because I grabbed all the nodes and moved them. It seriously could be that much of a dick. I have a feeling it's crashed. I'm gonna give it I don't know how much time I'm gonna give it. Not a lot. And then we'll just make another one. The next one won't have a star in it. Okay, good. It stopped. Okay. So it's going to want to rebuild again. Now given that, that sucks. So I'm just going to drop this back down to 512. And that way when it does build, it's not a million years, right? So boom, boom, boom. We hit OK. And now we can see the detail. Okay. Now normally at this stage I would want to stay in 2048. So I think, like I said, I think the reason that it had to do that was because I moved this? I mean, I don't know why. Yeah, it's building it again. So that matters. That matters. So just moving this stuff like this, even though it's not changing any ordering, is in fact causing a rebuild. But there's one thing that you're going to kind of notice here that kind of sucks, and that's that the I can't really tell like what this is. I mean, I can see that it's flows and stuff, but is this like flowing down the side of some kind of a mountain or something right here? Like, what is this? Is this a valley? Is this a peak? Like, I can't tell how this lines with the terrain. So I'll show you guys how to see that. What you need is a new type of output. Is called the overlay view, and you pop that in here. And what you do is it's got two inputs, primary height and the overlay input itself, the mix. So the primary height is actually going to be from here. And the map for the mix here is actually like a map. It's like the texture. It will just come straight from this same image. Okay, and then we hit F here. And now you'll see in the 3D view, if I were to build this again, okay, you can see now how it corresponds to the terrain, right? Like that's exactly, you can see it's all kind of, everything's just kind of pooling up at this point of the star. This would be the lowest point. So this is where everything's like pooling up. I would call this kind of like the almost a wet map, you know, like where rain would flow and stick and pool, I guess. There's other maps that come out of here. There's the where map. Okay, this is where the werewolves can spawn. So we're going to come over here, and you can see if I rebuild that, you can see it doesn't look like it matches jack shit until you build it, and it looks, you know, high res. So we hit OK, and now it seems like it kind of matches stuff. So this where map is, like I said, this is where the werewolves can spawn anywhere that's white. Now you'll notice that the white is basically being added to the actual color of the terrain. What if I just want to view the mask? Well, that's easy. All you got to do is just double click the layout view, and there's two options. This will say replace with mask. So then when we come back here, you can see that that's actually just replaced it. So we'll rebuild. It's one to build every time. I don't like that. And there we go. Okay, so that's that map. And you know, at 512 it doesn't look great. At 2048 it would match things a little bit better. And there's one last one here. It's the deposition map. So this is where they go to serve a deposition order to somebody. I don't know what the fuck these words mean, I'll be honest with you. Flow map makes sense, but it looks to me like the water map. And then we can hit OK. So we get actually a pretty distinctive star here. So it looks like anything that's got slope, like a lot of slope on it, is getting blacked out. And the flats are grayish. I don't know. I mean, it's pulling in some of the veins and things like that here and there. So I mean, it's a decent map for stuff. It's just obviously I got this star in the middle, you know. Like but I put that there, so you can kind of expect that to be showing up. So, and then there's some that come out of here like talus depth. Like I don't even know what that is, except that it was built by the Talisman, and that basically gives me nothing. So I mean, I don't. So sometimes you get that kind of shit, like talus age. Like I don't know how old it is. Even that shows nothing even without me building. But I'm sure if I build, it's going to get even. It's probably just going to go solid black. So we hit OK and we'll check it here. Yeah, just a couple of little spots. So I don't even know what the hell those are. But you can play with them if you want. So this is how we can actually take a look at where it is. But this doesn't actually let us output. This is what we're actually outputting. So if I double click this, this is actually going to give me all the options, okay? It's going to tell me formats and things like that. Now for the textures, you're going to want a TGA. Just boom, just hit that, okay? If I come over to here, it's going to take it away from here. So this isn't like a version of these. So this is just one long list. Think of it like that, okay? So TGA. And if you don't want this to build anything, just, you know, null output. It doesn't ever do anything. If you want it to save the file every time it's built, you just check that right there. But in this case, we'd go with a TGA, and then we'd say write output to disk, okay? But before we do that, we'd want to come over here, and we'd want to say where we want to put stuff, right? So let's say, what are we hooked into? This is the flow map, okay? So we come here, we double click, we hit set. I'm going to keep it here, and I'm going to call this flowmap.tga, and I'm going to say write output to disk. Now it's going to tell me I need to build some. Well, sometimes it tells me I need to build, but in that case I don't. So now if we go to here, we can see we have an actual flow map there. Okay, this deposition map and this stuff here were me doing another video that failed to record the audio. This is actually probably the fourth or fifth time I've tried to do this series, and I'll be honest, I'm being completely honest, I'm not trying to complain, but it sucks because for some reason it keeps dropping the audio on me. So I'm keeping them short. So there's the maps that come out of the erosion. Now some of these other things you could use too. Like I could say, you know, I could export it from before the erosion if I want to, if I need to use that for any reason. Say I want to take this into Mudbox and shape it differently and then come back in and replace here and then start eroding it so I have less of a chain out here, because that's another idea that you can do. You can make a crazy chain of stuff, of events, and then basically output that into a height map, use that height map in some other application, then make adjustments to the whole thing, like sculpt it or whatever, and then save that out as a height map and just replace the whole network with your single height map input, which if you have a image, it's here somewhere. I don't remember how to do that, but there's a file input somewhere. Might be in the generator. Yeah, file input right there in the generator. Multiple file input or tiled file inputs. That's interesting. But yeah, you can just say like that. Color generator. There's other things like color generators. The color generators actually are shown kind of here. I'll show you guys that really quick. Let's not lock this. Let's go and lock it back to our normal terrain here, and you can see that that's the colors that we're getting, but we can actually change that by clicking terrain color. We can say, hey, we want a desert, you know, desert and water. Doesn't really change anything. Great Plains. Color table for displaying masks. Oh, okay. Great Plains looks pretty cool. Almost looks lit by the sun. Blast zone. My favorite was the it's like the acid one. Acid bleached world. I like this one, man. This one looks cool as shit. Just because there's a lot of layers and details in it. And it can look really cool when you go out here to the Explorer view, because you can come down into this thing. And now you'll notice that the tiled stuff doesn't build high res. Okay, it's actually quite low res. Okay, so you can see how it takes it a moment to actually fill everything in. So here's my actual area, is right here. Okay, in this box. But see how it's kind of the way it's building, you know? It's got to do it low res. It's kind of LODs it in. I don't really use this view, but it's there if you want to use it. This is our actual area right here. So let's look at a few other mass generators here. We have selectors, and there's not too many of them. We got angle, slope, height. So let's pull out a slope and let's pull out a height. Okay. We want our main input going into both of these for the most part. Okay. Let's take a look at slope first. So we're going to hook slope into our overlay view, and we're going to lock the preview there. Okay, let's come out here to this view, and we can double click slope from here, and right now we're picking flat ground to about halfway up, and that's pretty much reflected here. If we take this, go the other way, we're only pretty much picking up the rock surfaces. Okay, so this could be the cliffs right here, so we hit OK. Now if we build it, you can see what we get. Okay, now this does require to be built pretty much every time you touch it. Okay. Oh, and the other thing just to note is that there is a fall off here. You can make it sharper. So we'll do a very low fall off, and we'll build that. Now I went totally black here during the preview mode, but we get a little bit otherwise. Okay, so but that's very restrictive of what I've just done. Very restrictive. So we'll keep it something like that, and then we build that, and that should be a decent slope. So you can get multiples of these out. So I call this one the cliffs, right? You know, these would be the cliff angles for the most part. Looks about correct to me. And then, so I could say, I could right click this and I can say set name, and I'll call this cliffs slope, right? Then I can say set the name on this guy, and we'll call this the grass, okay? And I want this guy to be like that or something. And then, so I do need to make sure that this one gets its input, and we'll use that as the output for now, and we'll tune it for the grass. Okay. Left click when it highlights. Kind of difficult to mess with these. So remember, the view's locked here, so we can see the name here. So we'll go to grass, and we'll bring that down just a little bit, but we'll increase the fall off just a little bit, so it's a little bit more of a soft transition, and then we hit build. You gotta remember to hit build. Now when this is a 2048, this will get pretty painful pretty fast. So here's the slope based flats, okay, of the world. These are as flat as that is. Alright, you can almost, I mean, it almost comes out like a tree. Kind of interesting. But that's, the natural world does work in veins. So let's see about using height now. So that's slope. Like I said, you can combine these any way you want, get whatever angles you want out of here. But let's take a look at height now. So here's the height. Height's very simple. Basically, as I drop this down, you can see here's my range. So if I want a very specific range, and let's say I don't want any fall off, okay, I can do that. So if I want to rim like a specific point, like a lake or something, and have a trim around that, this would be what I'd use. A very tight thing here. I would never really go zero fall off. I wouldn't really suggest that too much, but like even 0.08 is enough to help the transitions and stuff. Okay, so that's a particular height in the world. Alright, you can see it doesn't look the same up here. This being the built version, it won't. So let's go here, and we'll blend that like so. Okay, it looks like we're looking at it from this angle here. So we'll build. Okay, and it changes dramatically when it gets built because of the shape of everything. But let's say we want just the mountains tops. Our peak is about there, but it's kind of hard to tell because remember, we're in the low res view when we're doing this. So we'll have to try to build and dial from there, which is frustrating and can be very difficult, like I said, when you're dealing with a high res terrain. Man, that takes a long time to tune that. So I didn't go high enough, and I'm still a little bit too low. So we'll go to about there, and we'll try that. And this should give us the mountains, hopefully. Give or take. Yeah, so pretty close, and gives me the tips of just these guys. So there's a mask, you know, for the mountaintops if you want that. So this is like the only place that snow can grow based on my snow growing rules and stuff like that, you know. But this is a global mask for that particular piece of the puzzle. So that's how you can get images out. They're very easy to get out. Like I said, you just pipe them to a height output. So any height output right here, boom, and then boom, and then I can just double click this and say, hey, We'll call this the mountains, right? Save, and we just write output. It says it needs to be built. Would I like to do it now? Yes, go ahead, build. So here's what I would do. This is me. This is what I've done in the past. I set all these masks up and everything like that working at 512. This is 512, right? I already put it back down. Then I boost it to 2048 and I do a one-time build and I go watch TV, right? So this is all set up, and what I tend to do is, so here's my height for that, here's the cliffs, here's the grass. I tend to create a height map, height output for each of these guys, okay? And then I set the names on them, so I know this is grass, so I do this TGA, and then we just call this the grass, and I do this when I'm ready, when I know I'm good to go and I'm getting ready to go. Okay, the mountains, TGA. This one is cliffs, right? And they're all set to write and save their files when I build. So what I do is I go and I build it, and I come back and I later. Now the main height map needs to be raw 16, okay? And what I would do is I would just I'll call this a Star Mountain R16, and we'll say where do we want it. We just want it here. Save, okay, right? And then we're good to go. So now that I've got these all set up, now this one is my, it looks like the flow map, right? So we already called this flow map. We're going to say save that when we build. Okay, this one is just an overlay. There's no output from here. Okay, this is just to visualize what I'm doing. Alright, so I can lock the preview back here now, so I can see my actual terrain. I can say, hey, there's that, there's that, there's that, you know? Right, now they're flat again because they're not being overlaid viewed, but these are the maps that I'll get out, and I'll also get this one out too, right? Now it's going to take forever for me to hit the build buttons, but when I do, I'll come back with the next video. So I'm going to hit the build here, and I'll let it save these files out. Now I'm not really going to use all of these or anything like that. I'm just showing you guys. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to actually export the deposition map right here, or the flow map, sorry, and I'm going to wipe these guys out. I'm just not going to bother with it because, like, I don't know how you can make those. Route point. So I'm just going to output the flow map and the height map. That's all I'm going to do because it's going to take long enough as it is. So we go boom, 2048, again, take this off, hit OK, and I'm going to hit build. It's going to take forever. I'll see you guys in the next video.